And round one immediately starts. We would like to play first with this deck. And we have a very nice curve, not a mulligan. Also only one blue, but that is basically what we intended to happen. If we don't run out a 2-drop, I'm going to run out the Arrester. It's going to be nice with Stealer of Secrets, but I feel like the tempo is too important here. Just being able to curve out feels like it's going to be more important. It's actually kind of difficult to decide which creature to drop now. It feels like if Stealer of Secrets has an impact, it's going to be now rather than later. So let's see if he has a blocker available. If not, that would be a really weird keep on his part, and he does have something to prevent both of our creatures from attacking, which is unfortunate. It looks like our plan to go on the offensive wasn't the best, maybe. And drawing all these lands isn't ideal either, but we'll see what happens. A 5/4 with haste is always going to kill 2 of our creatures. And I think I'm willing to just do that right now. We do have Paralyzing Grasp, which is quite nice against the Crasher, but doesn't feel like a big deal to lose these 2. Now we're just patiently waiting for our cards like Righteous Authority to give us a shot at taking over this game, and maybe using our remaining cards to generate small advantage here and there. I don't want to cast Knightly Valor at this point with him having Annihilating Fire mana up. I feel it's safer to just see him tap out if possible. And I'm going to drop a 6th land because it's possible that I want to Knightly Valor and keep up 2 at some point. So, yeah. It's not clear what we are up against. I mean, if he has a card like Niv Mizzet or something, then we probably can't win. But otherwise, we certainly haven't lost this yet. The way the game played out, it would have been better to drop Stealer of Secrets on 3 and then detain whatever 3-drop he decided to play. Judge is familiar, not going to be all that relevant, but I guess I can just run it out there. This is where a card like Cancel would come in handy as a way to protect my creatures. And I'm pretty sure that he's also drawing to something. If it's a mass removal spell, that's also kind of bad for me, but one better spell on his side of the board means that I'm going to need all the blockers I have. think I'm going to want to attack with two of my flyers at some point, and he isn't really showing me anything, so this is probably the time where I have to get active. And one way to get active would be to bounce his hover barrier to get in with my flyers, or to Knightly Valor Judge's Familiar as a way to get through 2 damage a turn. I think we can try that. If he has a removal spell, then at least it's wasted on the familiar rather than a good card of mine. And that means we actually do have a way to punch through now. Let's hope he doesn't have an insane card like Mizzy Mordas. I'm not going to use Void Wheeler just to deal an extra 3 here. I think it's much more likely that he's going to be forced to do something at some point. And I'm also not sure if I want more blockers, but having a blocker against Frostburn Weird seems like it's a good idea. And now the question becomes, what does he have in his hand? He has 12 lands in play, so he can't have all lands in hand, basically. Only if he got very unlucky there. So also he is taking damage each turn, so it's not the best idea to just stay passive. And it does look like he might actually just be kind of flooded here. Ethereal Armor. Yeah, once again, it's a card that would give a creature +2/+2, but given that he has Hover Barrier, it would just deal 1 additional damage, basically. I think I'm better off keeping that in my hand. And the same goes for the other cards I have. If I'm dealing 4 here, I'm fine. And I want my tricks and removal spells to be there when I need them. It's possible that I should have Azorius Charm, the Hover Barrier. That would have guaranteed that he doesn't top deck anything this turn. And then I could have tried to Void Wielder and Ethereal Armor to close out the game. So this was a teleportal, which means that the lifelink on Azorius Charm isn't going to help me. He's dealing 3, 9, 13, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I don't have much of a choice apart from just bouncing the Cobble Brood and see what happens. And he does have a cancel for that, so I'm basically dead. That answers the question what he was drawing to, and it's kind of unfortunate. We should have played more aggressively had we known that was an option. Yeah, that was probably a mistake on our part. Paralyzing Grasp didn't do anything this game, so we might want to take it out. I like the cancel, I already put it in, so maybe we want another 2-drop, or the Dispel to counter one of the Is It cards he does have to have. Salt of Songbird's also quite nice. I think we want to play this more aggressively, and all the flyers are going to do a very good job with that. This spell doesn't seem like it's the card we want, although Swift Justice is also kind of bad. It's good against his early cards, but later on it's going to be almost worthless. We do know that he plays cancel, so we can play a Dispel instead. Oh, that's still 41, so maybe we take out Armory Guard in the hopes that we are going to be on the offensive. Yeah, Armory Guard is good, but we probably don't need it. But if we are going on the offensive, then we don't want Dispel, then we just want another 2-drop, which also blocks his early creatures, and then we don't want our most defensive card. Yeah, that makes sense. Although Swift Justice would be another alternative here. Maybe Swift Justice is better than Salt of Songbirds or Judge's Familiar. Okay, let's try it that way. And that's a very nice hand. Which got even better. An island would have been great, of course, but that's also fine. Sadly, he did have the right answer to Precinct Captain immediately. It's also a nice combo. Wow. That's also pretty good. But we do get in with the Arrestor. We could play another Griffin and then try to block here. He does have Rogue's Passage, and we wanted to play this offensively. However, I feel like drawing more cards of Stealer of Secrets is also a very good idea, so I'm going to just get in with the Stealer. And drop the Griffin. Now, if he spends his whole turn using Rogue's Passage, that's fine. Because we can crack back for 6, also draw an additional card. This is the point where we do need to draw something to be able to win this. Another arrestor would be insane now. Or not. That's not the worst card. Although the problem is I can't even use it all that effectively. So I do want to put the Stealer on top, of course. Problem is that I don't really have any good blocks if I attack with the Sunspire Griffin. So I feel like I have to hold back and see what happens. If I can get him to spend a lot of mana this turn for something I can counteract with Azorius Charm, that would also be very good for me. That at least looks like an attack that I can block nicely. So, wow, he tries to kill the Stealer first. That's interesting. If he has the cancel here, we would almost certainly be dead. But now we still have quite a lot of good draws. But the clock is ticking, of course. Against the Cobble Brute, it's going to be an uphill battle. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? The problem is he drops the Stealer again. And then he has Rogue's Passage open. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. It's not a great block, but don't see my cheap drops doing anything. And that's not a very good draw. Okay, and it's not getting better. I'm afraid that this game is over. Yeah. Too bad. Couldn't get anything going here. Don't really know. Well, we could have played game one more aggressively, but he was the one who was in full control, and I expect him to have been sitting there with the cancel and maybe even the teleportal, just waiting for the right moment. So if I do too many things, try to do too many things, then he is going to be the one that punishes me with his instance. And we also did draw a few too many lands. Steal of Secrets with Pursuit of Flight and Is It Charm for our Precinct Captain just stopped everything we wanted to do very effectively. And we played against a very nice deck here. Well, didn't work out this time, but you can't win them all, I guess. As always, that was Simon Gertzen recording for MTGOacademy.com. You've been watching Simon Says. See you next time.